Have you guys ever seen the movie Groundhog Day? Or maybe at least a spin-off from either a different movie or maybe another show. I know I've seen it in like some superhero shows where like the time travel and all that stuff. And if you haven't seen that movie or any of those shows or other movies, it's basically where a guy relives the same day over and over again until, he learns something or becomes like a better person or whatever it is. And as a sports fan, as a Cleveland Cavalier fan, it sure feels like we're kind of in a similar reality, is it not? Because yet again, we're coming into a Game 7. In a series that we probably should have won by now. Probably not even probably. Definitely should have won by now. Either we should have won this game, Game 6, or Game 4. And this series would have been over. But almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. And as a Cleveland fan, I'm very familiar with this feeling. The feeling of being so close to being respected. And yet again, whoever Cleveland team, whether it's the Guardians or the Browns or the Cavs, where all regular season you go through, or even all, if you're not a Browns fan, like me, you go through most of the offseason and or regular season feeling kind of disrespected by mostly the national media and, your other people that aren't necessarily Cleveland sports fans. Where all you get from them is Cleveland will never be good because they're Cleveland. Regardless of what sport, regardless of what team. And no one seems to be able to look at Cleveland objectively. And not to say that we don't deserve that, because we do, because no matter how many years go by, they always seem to be right. One way or another. They always seem to be like, ha, I told you so. And one year we're going to break through that. And we did a few years ago, almost a decade ago in 2016. And it's about to be a decade ago in 2016 in the NBA Finals. We broke through that, and it was a great year. And if you ask any Cleveland basketball fan, they probably still watch those highlights to this day. And probably if they experience that, feeling live, whether it was at the arena, at the watch party, on TV somewhere, in front of their TV somewhere, they will probably tell you that they will continue to watch those highlights until Cleveland either wins another championship sometime in their lifetime or until the end of their life. That's a type of game and that's a type of team that will last forever in the eyes of Cleveland sports fans, because it meant that much to us to finally get over the hump and finally be able to tell those people you were wrong. And once again, we have not been able to get over that hump since then. Whether it was the Browns will never make it to the playoffs, and then it became the Browns will never make it past the first round, and then it became the Browns will never be able to make it to the Super Bowl. And they still haven't. Let's change sports. If you were a Guardians fan, the Guardians will never make it back to the World Series. Well, we did that. The Guardians will never be able to win a World Series again. Still haven't proven that thing wrong yet. The Guardians will never be able to beat the Yankees in modern times. Still haven't been able to do that yet. Come back to the Cavs. The Cavs will never be able to beat the Warriors. We did one year. Probably should have done it in 2015 too if it wasn't for all those injuries. And then they were right because everyone was going to lose to the Kevin Durant Warriors if they stayed healthy. And we all lost to the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant those 2 years. And the only reason why, ironically, the Toronto Raptors got by the Golden State Warriors was because the Warriors were getting older at that point. They were still in their primes, but this was going on 3 years of Kevin Durant and Golden State. Teams were starting to make adjustments, and they got hit at the injury bug at the wrong time, and Toronto capitalized and won a championship. That's what happened. Good on Toronto. But this isn't 2019. Kawhi Leonard isn't on this team. Toronto's best player, arguably, was out in this game. We'll see what happens with Brandon Ingram in Game 7. I'm probably thinking that he's going to play. We'll see what Emmanuel Quickley can do for Toronto in Game 7, because the longer this series goes, the more it's going to favor Toronto, and it's going the longest it's going to go, obviously, because it's Game 7. And Toronto's dealing with injuries, and Cleveland's dealing with the pressure. I've said this since the beginning of this series. Toronto, regardless if they win this series or not, it is a successful season. If the Cavs don't make it past the second round, this is still the first round. If the Cavs don't even make it past the second round, this is a failure, and you're blowing this team up. This is do or die for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And yet again, we're just playing like it's 2022 and this is our first go at it. No. This is our third with Donovan Mitchell. I'm not counting the play-in year, but this is our third go at it. We've had our shots. This was going to be one of the last runs at it. And we can't get by in the first round? And I get Toronto's a good team. I'm not taking away anything from them. But we should have the experience edge here. And it feels like we're crumbling under the pressure because we kind of are. The Cavs played the same game that they did against Indiana when Indiana made those comebacks. They played the same game against today against Orlando that they did a few years ago, especially on the road against Orlando a few years ago, where the Cavs didn't beat Orlando on the road. That series went to Game 7, and the Cavs won that series, but they weren't better off for it because they ended up losing in the second round to Boston that year. And granted, Boston ended up winning the NBA championship that year, but this was your series to get ahead of the ball here, get some rest, get some, studying on both of the teams, because obviously Orlando and Detroit are going to Game 7 too. This was your opportunity to get ahead of the 8 ball, win one in Toronto, one game. You had 3 shots at it, 2 realistic chances at it, and you failed both times. I think every Cleveland fan knew that Toronto was at least going to get one. I knew some people were throwing out the sweep because the Cavs went up 2-0 in this series. I think we all kind of knew deep down that Toronto was going to get one. They weren't going to let 3 straight sweeps happen against the Cleveland Cavaliers. A LeBron-less Cleveland Cavaliers, no less, too. The Toronto Raptors just killed LeBronto. And I was so ready all series to come on here and troll Toronto fans about LeBronto. I can't do that. Because Toronto, every chance they got at home, beat us. And yeah, can I laugh at them if we beat them in Game 7? Yeah. Is it going to be a short laugh because the Cavs were just dragged to Game 7 against Toronto in a series that we probably should have won in 5, maybe 6 games? Who's got the last laugh there? I guess we would if we would have won the series, but it sure doesn't feel like it. It's like Ohio State winning the national championship. You get a few seconds of happiness from the lunatic fringe fans. And I'm a lunatic when it comes to Ohio State. I'm not that bad. I'm not sending hate mail and death threats to my coach and other players. Will I critique them on here? Yeah, of course I will. That's being fair. I'm getting off on tangents here. So let's just go back here. Let's regroup. The Cavs, once again, played like they played good enough to where you could have, where they probably should have won the game, but they played bad enough to where they did not deserve to win the game. If that makes any sense at all. You know what I mean? Toronto got out to a lead and really never looked back. I think the Cavs, their lead in overtime was their first lead since the first quarter. So Toronto dominated basically this entire game. And the Cavs, they fought back. And I was really, really happy. And, that building got quiet, which is what I've been begging the Cavs to do. Specifically, James Harden. What did he even do today? He played 44 minutes, got 16 points, was 1 of 4 from 3, 5 of 14 from the field goal, from the field. Not his great game. And those allegations and that pressure of, Game 6, elimination game James, that's only going to increase. He better have a good Game 7, because if he doesn't, he's done. And if no one else has a good Game 7, everyone's done. It is what it is. And it sucks, because I feel like we all like Donovan Mitchell and appreciate Donovan Mitchell for the way he's embraced the city of Cleveland after being traded from Utah. But this is a business. And although most of us, if not all of us, don't work for the Cavs, we kind of feel a part of this organization, because we honestly are. As fans, we are a part of this organization. And, if you have proven over and over again that you can't win when it counts, why are you still on the team that's trying to win a championship? When you have proven over and over again that you can't do it. So, yeah, this was just it wasn't a good game. Especially in that first half. Toronto, looked like they were kind of a few points away from really blowing the doors off of the Cavs here in Toronto. The environment definitely helped Toronto. Cavs ended up tying it at the end of the first quarter, but Toronto really took off and got a 10-point lead at half. And then it just felt like the Cavs were kind of inching at it. They would get a few buckets here and there, and then they would never get stops when they needed it to. Up until the mid to end of the fourth quarter. Anything before that, it felt like the Cavs were traffic cones on defense. And that's concerning. But yet again, the Cavs fought back. They got it to overtime. Toronto almost hit a game-winning shot, and that would have been bad. And then they ended up hitting not a buzzer beater, but a game-winning shot anyways. But at the end of regulation, they had a good look at it, and the guy missed. Good defense. I think it was Jared Allen that had the shot contest there, but good defense by him there. Just wasn't enough, unfortunately. And, of course you can kind of nitpick certain things in hindsight. There was a few free throws missed. I wonder how our free throws went. Jared Allen was only 2 of 6 from the line today. Evan Mobley was 5 of 8. and then Schroeder missed one, and that was it. If Allen or Mobley hit one of those free throws, or Schroeder hits all of his free throws instead of just missing one, Cavs win this game, I guess. But I don't like to nitpick that certain stuff. What I will say is during this game, I don't remember when it was, but I remember thinking this, watching the game. 2 times. Cavs were on offense, shoot it up, get a decent look at the end of the shot clock, get a rebound, offensive rebound, kick it back out, chuck up a 3. He misses. Whoever it was misses. Cavs get another offensive rebound, kick it back out, and drive, try and get a layup, and they miss again. That happened twice in this game. Right there's your game. Not just once. Once, okay, cool. Every team misses. Twice. In a game where you were down basically all game. That right there is the reason why we're going to Game 7. The fact that the Cavs, when they were physical, couldn't capitalize on those opportunities. And yet again, you go back down, and every chance it felt like Toronto had where they had an open 3, they were hitting. They made the Cavs pay. And yet again, the Cavs just feel like walking off the court, you can say, if we only hit this shot. That's the most frustrating part. The fact that twice the Cavs got 2 offensive rebounds, 3 opportunities. So 6 opportunities total in these scenarios. And came away with 0 points. When was the last time Toronto did that? I'm pretty sure the majority of their offensive rebounds after, they came away with points. The majority of them. And maybe the majority of the Cavs' offensive rebounds too also result in points, so I'm kind of nitpicking. But still, the fact that you got not 1 offensive rebound, but 2 offensive rebounds 2 different times in this game and came away with 0 points is ridiculous. And that is one of the major reasons why you lost this game. And, maybe some of you are asking me what I think about the game-winning shot from Toronto. He had a good shot, and, sometimes it takes a little bit of luck to win these types of games. And for whatever reason, on that hoop, in that building, Toronto just gets the hop, or the bounce, not the hop, but the bounce, every single time that they feel like they kind of need it in a do-or-die situation. You want to go back to 2019, the year that they won it. Kawhi did the same exact thing in Game 7. This is Game 6, but Game 7. And one of the coolest shots you will ever see in a playoff series, that was Toronto. Same bucket. Same side of the court, same building. And that was a buzzer beater. That, of course, the shot here in this game, I think there was like 1.6 seconds left on the clock. So it's technically not a buzzer beater, but still, regardless, 2 game-winning shots. That kind of felt like, oh, are you kidding me? Like, how does that happen right now? And the Cavs, I think it was either Game 1 or Game 2 where they got a similar bounce. But the fact that it was in overtime in this game here hurts even more. If it was in the third quarter, of course, I probably wouldn't even be talking about it if it was in the second or third quarter or even in the first. But the fact that it was at the end of the game and even in overtime makes it hurt a lot worse. And it feels a lot like, the Indiana Pacers series. And I said that the last loss, but this one, it feels real familiar, I had the same exact reaction to what I did at the Indiana Pacers series. Halliburton, I don't even think I let the ball hit the ground when Halliburton hit the game-winning shot, and that TV was off, and I was done. I didn't even think the ball hit the ground yet before I had that TV off. Same thing here. I just saw the bounce, and I just knew. And, you know, of course, I of course had, because I have to do this, I had to see the last second possession there. But, and we'll talk about the last second possession here in a second. But, yeah, same feeling. Fortunately for me, though, the Lakers are winning. So LeBron doesn't have to be a part of history on the wrong side of history. So little sliver of somewhat joy today in the basketball world. They're winning, as the time of this recording, 71-55, late in the third at the time of this recording. So let's just talk about the last second possession. We'll get out of here. I don't know what that was. Like, I get the Raptors defense is really pesky and it sticks to you like glue. You don't have a plan for that, though? I don't get it. I really don't get it. Not only do you put James Harden, a guy that has plenty of experience, regardless of it was, his performances in elimination games. He's got, experience with these game, sealing shots and, these clutch moments, regardless if they were in the playoffs or not. This is what you brought him in for, these types of moments. And he's inbounding the ball. What? That's head-scratching moment number one. The fact that James Harden was inbounding the ball. Make Schroeder inbound the ball. You're not going to give it to him, are you? Make Allen inbound the ball. You got 1 second left. You don't need to worry about fouls right now. And I get you were only down by 2, so you technically didn't need a 3 here. But didn't it feel like the Cavs play was designed to hit a 3? So that's head-scratching moment number 1. Head-scratching moment number 2, and even worse. Regardless of what the play was supposed to be, your basically emergency ripcord was Evan Mobley. And not just Evan Mobley, but Evan Mobley behind the 3-point line. Why? If you're going to pass it to Mobley, get him in the paint. Hit a mid-range. Do something. Give him a shot at it. If you're going to pass it to Mobley. I just don't get it. I don't get the play call. I don't get the, what if this goes wrong? Oh, well, I guess it's going to be Mobley. And maybe they didn't draw it up that way. It just kind of happened. But I don't think you really should have put yourself in that position anyways. I think he probably should have been inbounding the ball. Maybe Allen. And the other one can set a pick. Or, just be a block in the way and let the other guys run around them and confuse the Raptors' defense. And I'm pretty sure the Cavs had a timeout left. So it wasn't like this was a do-or-die situation. Maybe they didn't. And I'm just thinking of the turnover at the end of the game, too, with Schroeder and Mobley. Shocker. But I'm over it. I'm so over this. And even if the Cavs somehow can pull it back together, because yet again, I don't feel confident in the Cavs in Game 7 here. Because if they start to even begin, if the Raptors even begin to pull away, that building is going to get real toxic real quick. And it's not going to be good. And if the Cavs lose, they're going to get booed off the court. And that's going to be the majority of those guys' last game as a Cleveland Cavalier. And they're probably going to end up getting booed off the court if they lose. You know, regardless, if the Cavs somehow can win Game 7, I like their chances of whoever gets the other Game 7 between Orlando and Detroit. I feel a lot more confident with Detroit than Orlando right now. But it's about getting there first. And I just feel like the Cavs played like they were going to, yet again, the Cavs played like they were entitled to this win. You're not. Nothing in this league is guaranteed. Nothing in life is guaranteed. And yet the Cavs played like they deserved and were almost entitled to this win in all three of these road games in the playoffs, honestly. It felt like they felt like they were entitled. And yet again, no help from the bench. Dean Wade had got 10 points. Okay, sure. Thomas Bryant, nothing. Schroeder had 7 points. Why you're passing the ball to Schroeder because he had the one good game at home. Schroeder's not a guy that needs to be in the lineup. And a Game 6, a do-or-die situation, basically. Why is he in the lineup there? Another thing. That's just a head-scratching moment. Merrill, 2 points. 0 of 3 from 3. What? Where is he gone? I don't remember a single good game from Sam Merrill in this series. He's had a few okay games. There hasn't been a game where I'm like, oh, this was a really good game from Sam Merrill. No depth whatsoever. Jalen Tyson, 5 points in 16 minutes. Like, he's going to have his ups and downs, I guess. Still, regardless, still frustrating that he, for some weird reason, can't get back to his, early season form. And I guess that's, part due to the fit on this team. I think he might just feel like he's kind of been replaced, and maybe that's doing something to his psyche. But regardless, you got to give us something. 5 points. 2 of 6 from the field and 1 of 5 from the 3-point line. That's all you got. You had 3 assists, but you also had 2 turnovers. James Harden had 4 turnovers today. And what did I tell you after game 5? Shocker, shocker. Every time James touched the ball today, he got booed. This was his opportunity to silence that and be the bad guy. That, obviously when you're the bad guy in an opposing stadium, it's a little fun. But you got to capitalize. To have fun, you got to score. And it just felt like James yet again disappeared in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter. And he had, I think he had a bucket or 2 in overtime. But, what do you want me to say here? That was James's moment to kind of erase his demons, and he didn't. Again. Strus, 20 points. I wish. 20 minutes, 6 points, 2 of 4 from 3. Those were his only buckets. You look back at these close games, and you're like, only if we only got that one stop or got that one bucket. And I'm really hoping Game 7 that we can somehow use this anger to our advantage. But right now, it just feels like Toronto has all of the momentum. And it just feels like the Cavs know that they're playing for their lives in this city. And instead of coming up to the plate and going out swinging, it almost feels like they're begging the Raptors to make a mistake first. And they just don't have that instinct to go take it from the Raptors. And they're just kind of like asking them, can I have this? Do me a favor. Let us have it. Is anybody in the city of Toronto going to let them do that? No. Is any Toronto player on that team just going to hand over this series and be like, okay, there you go. You deserve it? No. And nor should they. If this series was flip-flopped and the Cavs were on their first run at it and Toronto was the quote-unquote veteran, I'd be so excited if the tables were turned right now. You're dragging the better team back to their home floor where all the pressure's on them. And you got to go be the villains in a building, yes, that you have not won in yet, but you get another shot at it. And that's all that you could have asked for if you're the Toronto Raptors. Give us one more shot at that building. And right now it's looking more and more likely that they're going to take that shot. And then I'm going to be back here saying that's it for Cavs content for the season. All right. I think that's all I got. So I appreciate you guys watching. If you have made it this far, please like and subscribe. I'll see you when I see you. And hopefully that'll be for Game 7 after a Cavs win.